This is a message for Dr. Jordan Peterson. I have no real idea about how to get a message to you, so I'm hoping that people will share this, and maybe at some point I can figure out where I can send you a link to this video. I have been watching you intently for like a year. You're fascinating. You're incredibly smart, and you make so much sense. Your stance on the bill that mandated speech in Canada, right on. The reason why I'm making this video is to pose a question to you. You have stated almost every time you talk about the subject that this was an unprecedented event, that in English common law that speech could be required, compelled. I have a question. Have you ever been exposed to, studied, or ever been questioned on the idea that I live in the United States? So this is my context, but I think it's similar to Canada. Exposed to the idea that common law as a form of government has been mothballed. And I would love to get into the entire subject, but it takes a lot of time to get into, and I'm not an expert. Just as an overview, in America, the people who subscribe to this would say that there are 3 layers of government. The common law, the Constitution of the people, we the people. Then you have like federal government, and then you have military government. Another way people say this is common law, law of the soil, law of the sea. Another way of putting it is common law, maritime law, and admiralty law. There's a lot of different ways of calling it. There's a lot of theories, and I believe there's a lot of misinformation. And I think there is good information out there. So some of the reasons why people look into this idea of there being 3 layers of government is to reclaim our rights. So the idea is that when we're born, we are assumed to be under the federal jurisdiction. And we're placed there against our will because we're infants and we don't have a say, and we're never educated that there are different layers of government and therefore different types of citizens. You can be a state citizen, the state that you were born in. You can be a federal citizen. This is also sometimes called the 14th Amendment citizen. And each one of these types of citizens has with it protected rights and rights that are not protected, depending on where you choose to be. And most people don't ever make a choice because they're not educated. Some of the examples of people exercising their rights or trying to exercise their rights as a under the common law, the state citizen, would be traveling in an automobile as opposed to operating a motor vehicle. Now, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this topic, but there's a huge difference. You can look under Black's Law Dictionary. You can look under Supreme Court rulings. You can look under traffic codes. Any of those sources, you can make a very, very clear, compelling argument that driving and traveling are 2 different things. So, and there's other applications like paying federal income taxes or not paying federal income taxes, depending on which jurisdiction you place yourself in. So my question is, without getting into all the nitty-gritty of the topic, because like I said, there's a lot of probably misinformation out there, and I'm not sure what I hold to be true from what I've heard. My question is, if it's true that common law has been mothballed and that the governments of the United States and Canada and Britain and whoever else might be involved with similar types of governments. They are more of a government of commerce. So instead of common law, rule and order, it's more of commerce law. Do you think that that is a factor for what seems to be a very chaotic time in our world? It doesn't seem like government is making a lot of sense for the benefit of the people. It doesn't seem like people are retaining the critical skills of analysis and thinking for themselves. And people who subscribe to this theory would probably say that some of the lack of thinking is because systematically this commercial federal government has really been trying to make slaves and just, obedient servants, when in reality the government should be a servant of the people. But they have flipped the tables. So after 150 years or so of progressively getting to where we're at now, if you have any insights into this, I would greatly appreciate it, because there are people going to jail for standing up for what they believe to be their rights, and people doing the same things and getting away with it, somehow going about it in a way where they can protect their rights and maybe be harassed but not ending up in jail. But overall, what are your thoughts on the idea of multiple layers of government, multiple layers of jurisdiction, multiple layers of citizenship, the different rights, what rights are protected and whatnot, and how that all has affected how we think and our behavior in relationship to each other and to the government? I would very much value your input. If you've never thought about this, if you've never been exposed to it, be prepared. If you decide to get into it, it will shake you, because it's how do I put this? There's so much information out there, and it's really hard to know what is legitimate and what isn't. But if you have any thoughts, I would appreciate it.